Imagine working in a place where no one dares to challenge the boss. Now imagine being the only person capable of breaking that barrier. Sophia, a new employee full of ideas and courage, joined Altair Solutions without knowing that she would change everything, including the heart of the merciless Eduardo, a millionaire focused only on results. But what happens when work and feelings collide? Get ready for a story full of sharp dialogue, unexpected moments, and a passion that can transform lives or destroy them. You won't want to miss the end of this surprising plot. Eduardo entered the conference room with firm steps and a serious look, holding a stack of resumes organized with almost obsessive precision. Altair Solutions, his company, was expanding, and finding new talent was crucial. For Eduardo, however, interviews were nothing more than a parade of rehearsed speeches and empty promises. He hated formalities, but he knew they were necessary. The room was silent, with the company directors sitting around the table, waiting for the next candidate. "Sophia Albuquerque," called the assistant in a bored voice. A woman with curly hair and a confident smile entered the room, holding a notepad and a pen that she twirled between her fingers. Eduardo barely looked up. He was used to prejudging candidates based on their resume and posture, but something in Sophia's expression, a mix of lightness and determination, caught his attention. Still, he maintained his impassive composure. "Good afternoon, gentlemen," Sophia began, with an excited tone. "I hope you still have energy for another interview. I brought coffee, but only in my imagination." A slight smile appeared on the face of one of the directors, but Eduardo remained serious. "Very well, Miss Sophia. Let's get straight to the point. Why do you think you are qualified for this position?" She tilted her head slightly, as if she was carefully considering the question. "Honestly, I don't think I'm as qualified as the other candidates on paper, but I guarantee that I am quick to learn, or at least faster than the printer at reception." The comment drew some restrained laughter, but Eduardo raised an eyebrow. The answer was unusual, and her humor lifted him from the monotony of previous interviews. "What if I told you that we are not just looking for speed, but also consistency?" challenged Eduardo, crossing his arms. "I would say I can be consistent in learning quickly," she replied without hesitation. The head of HR, sitting next to Eduardo, cleared his throat, looking uncomfortable with the lightness of the interaction. "Mr. Eduardo, perhaps we should focus on candidates with profiles more aligned with our corporate needs." Eduardo ignored the interruption. "Sophia, your CV mentions experience in crisis management. Can you give me a practical example?" "Of course," she said, adjusting herself in her chair. "At my last job, we had a system failure right in the middle of an important delivery. Everything stopped, and the team panicked. I reorganized everything manually, with the help of some improvised spreadsheets, and we managed to finish on time." "And what did you learn from this experience?" asked Eduardo, without taking his eyes off her. "That good coffee saves lives in times of crisis," she joked, eliciting genuine laughter from some of the directors. "But seriously, I learned that calm and creativity solve more problems than despair." Eduardo closed her resume and crossed his arms. "Thank you, Sophia. You can wait for our return." As she left the room, the directors began commenting on the candidates. The head of HR was the first to speak out. "She is confident but lacks experience. It's not the profile we're looking for." "I agree," said another director. "She looks promising, but perhaps for another position." Eduardo remained silent for a moment, mentally analyzing everything he had seen and heard. Of all the candidates, she was the only one who made me really pay attention. "No, but she doesn't meet all the requirements," insisted the head of HR, "and yet he brought something that no one else did, a fresh vision and a creative approach." "Maybe that's what we need to change the dynamics," replied Eduardo, ending the debate. Sophia arrived at the office on her first day of work with the same confidence she had shown in the interview. The atmosphere was impeccable, but cold. The white walls and minimalist furniture perfectly matched Eduardo's personality, who seemed to have made a point of imprinting his identity in every detail. Sophia, on the other hand, carried a colourful folder and a smile that clashed with that austere environment. She was greeted by Jonas, the head of HR. "Welcome to Altair Solutions. I hope you are ready to adapt quickly. Here we value organisation and, how can I say, discreet behaviour." Sophia raised an eyebrow without losing her light tone. "Discretion has never been my strong point, but organisation, I'm always on top of my mess." Jonas wasn't amused. "Your desk is in the corner on the left. Mr. Eduardo appreciates efficiency and silence. Try not to draw too much attention." As she walked through the office, Sophia felt the stares of the other employees. Some were curious, others judgmental. She knew it would be difficult to fit in there, but she decided she wouldn't change her essence. He sat down at his workstation and began organizing the day's tasks when a colleague approached. "Hi, I'm Renata. Do you need help with something?" he said, trying to sound friendly but with an air of superiority. "Actually, yes. Where is the coffee machine? I'm going to need several cups before I face this," Sophia replied, pointing to the computer. Renata laughed, but left without responding. The morning passed uneventfully until Sophia noticed that one of the company's systems was down. She tried to warn Renata, but received an impatient look. "That's not our problem. Support will resolve it." Sophia bit her lip, uncomfortable with the answer. Ignoring the advice, she decided to investigate on her own. He discovered that a simple command on the system could solve the problem, and without hesitation, he applied the correction. The moment the system returned to normal, Eduardo appeared in the hallway. "Who fixed this so quickly?" he asked, surprised. Sophia raised her hand. I thought it would save time." Eduardo's eyes shone for a moment. "Good job. But next time, let me know before making a decision like that." "Of course, sir. But if I had waited, we would still have the problem," she replied with a smile. Eduardo turned to leave but couldn't hide a small smile. Sophia was standing out, even if in an unexpected way. After weeks at Altair Solutions, Sophia had already become a household name, for better and for worse. While some colleagues admired her initiative, others saw her as someone who didn't respect the rules. Eduardo, on the other hand, seemed to watch from a distance, intrigued by her every decision. One afternoon, while reviewing reports in the office, Eduardo was interrupted by the sound of an argument in the hallway. He left his room and found Sophia in a heated conversation with Renata. "I'm just saying that there are ways to improve the flow of the project," Sophia said firmly. "And I'm saying we don't need unsolicited opinions," Renata replied, crossing her arms. Eduardo intervened before the situation got out of control. "What's going on here?" Both turned around, surprised. Renata was the first to speak. "Sophia thinks she knows more than the process we've followed for years." "I didn't say that," Sophia countered, remaining calm. "I just suggested something that could save time and resources." Eduardo looked at the two, pondering. "Renata, Sophia is right to suggest improvements. This is part of growth. Sophia, I will ask you to present your idea in a structured way. This way, we evaluate more clearly." Renata snorted, but walked away. Sophia, in turn, took a deep breath. "Thank you, Mr. Eduardo. I will prepare a report." Later that night, Eduardo was in the office, analyzing performance charts, when he heard a light knock on the door. "Come in," he said, without looking away from the screen. "I brought the report," said Sophia, entering with firm steps. She placed the document on his desk. "I thought it would be better to explain it in person." Eduardo gestured for her to sit down. "I have 5 minutes." Sophia laughed. "With any luck, I'll only need 3. She began to explain her proposal, using practical examples and simple solutions. Eduardo noticed something unique about her. It wasn't just the idea, but the passion with which she defended it. "Interesting," he said, after hearing everything. "Can you implement this in a test for next quarter?" "Of course, as long as no one tries to sabotage me along the way," she joked, eliciting a discreet smile from Eduardo. He was silent for a moment before saying, "You have potential, Sophia. You just need to learn to navigate the environment without creating too many waves." "And where's the fun in that?" she replied, with a mischievous smile. Eduardo let out a low laugh. "Good point." Sophia began to notice that Eduardo was watching her more closely. He was careful, maintaining a professional tone, but there was something in his eyes that suggested greater curiosity. For Sophia, Eduardo was a mystery, serious, focused, but with a sparkle in his eyes that seemed to hold secrets that no one else saw. Eduardo, on the other hand, felt increasingly torn between his position as leader and the unexpected feelings that were beginning to emerge. One night, Sophia was finishing an important presentation in the meeting room. The slides lit up the empty room when the door opened and Eduardo entered. "You don't know when to stop, do you?" he said with a slight smile. "Well, passion doesn't have a clock, Mr. Eduardo," she replied without looking away from the screen. "But maybe you've already forgotten that." "Forgotten what?" he asked, frowning, intrigued. Sophia stopped what she was doing and turned to him. "The reason this all started, what made you build Altair Solutions? Was it just money, or was there something bigger?" Eduardo was silent for a moment, processing the question. "Does it matter now? It's about results. It always has been." "Not for me," she replied with a defiant smile. "For me, everything worthwhile starts with passion. That's what keeps you going on difficult days." "Maybe it is," he admitted, looking at her computer screen. "But passion wears off over time." "It wears out when you let it die," Sophia countered, "and then all that's left is work. But everything is fine. Want to see the slides?" He gestured for her to continue, but while Sophia presented the ideas, Eduardo was more focused on her than on the graphics. There was something in the way she spoke, in the energy she conveyed, that reminded him of something he hadn't felt in years. The next day, Sophia presented her proposal to the team. It was a success, complete with applause and smiles. The informal celebration in the cafeteria was lively, but Eduardo, instead of participating, watched from a distance. He knew he needed to talk to Sophia. "Can I steal a moment from you?" he asked, approaching discreetly. Sophia raised her eyebrow, curious. "Of course. Any problems with the slides?" He shook his head, leading her to a more private corner. "No, the slides were excellent. But I wanted to talk about something you said yesterday. You asked me why I started Altair Solutions. And if you want to know, even I'm not sure anymore." "Maybe it's time to rediscover it," suggested Sophia with a smile. "Sometimes we just need to stop and remember why we started." Eduardo looked at her, absorbing her words. "And somehow, I think you can help me remember." Sophia laughed, crossing her arms. "Ah, so I'm your personal advisor now. I need a raise, huh?" Eduardo smiled. "I will consider it. But first, let's rediscover the company's purpose. The rest, we'll see later." Eduardo was restless. He spent the day reviewing reports that would normally hold his attention, but this time his mind was somewhere else. Or rather, someone else. Sophia had transformed the routine at Altair Solutions. She was not just an efficient employee, it was a force that challenged him in ways he hadn't expected, and now he knew he needed to make a decision. At the end of the day, Eduardo asked Sophia to go to his office. When she entered, she brought the same vibrant energy he had come to admire. "Do you need me to save any more systems?" she joked, sitting down before he could offer the chair. Eduardo smiled slightly. "Not this time. I want to talk about something more personal." Sophia crossed her arms, interested. That sounds serious. Because it is, he replied, looking directly at her. You brought something to Altair Solutions that I haven't seen in years. It's not just efficiency or creative ideas. It's the energy, the passion that makes everyone around you do their best, including me. Sophia blinked in surprise. Is that a compliment? More than that, said Eduardo, leaning forward slightly. It's a confession. You made me remember why I started all this. Why did I invest so much time and energy? And what's more, it made me realize something I didn't expect. And what would it be? She asked, with a slight smile, trying to hide her nervousness. Eduardo took a deep breath. That I fell in love with you. Sophia opened her eyes wide, not knowing how to respond. For a moment, silence filled the room. Eduardo, this is unexpected. I know, he admitted, looking vulnerable for the first time. But it's the truth, and I needed to say it. Sophia got up, starting to walk around the room. You know what that means, don't you? We work together. This can complicate everything. I know, but I'm willing to face the complications if you are. Sophia stopped, looking at him. Eduardo, you are my boss. This is not something that can be resolved with a conversation. We need to be careful. And being careful is exactly what I don't want to be right now, he said, standing up to stand beside her. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm living rather than just working, and you are the reason for that. She laughed softly. You have a convincing way of speaking. So it's a yes? He asked with a hopeful smile. Sophia shook her head but was smiling. It's a let's see, but only because you still haven't given me the raise you promised. Eduardo let out a laugh, relieved. I think we can negotiate. In the following days, they decided to keep their relationship discreet, at least until they understood how to balance the new dynamics. Sophia continued to bring innovative ideas and challenge Eduardo, but now there was a lightness in their interactions that hadn't existed before. Together, they not only rediscovered the company's purpose, but also what it means to truly connect with someone. For Eduardo, Sophia was not just an employee. She was the change he needed, and with her by his side, he felt like any challenge would be just another opportunity to grow in work and in life.